Have you ever noticed how the quietest moments hurt the loudest? How someone's silence can feel like a shout straight into your chest today? We're walking into the truth behind that silence. Because silence is never empty. Let's begin. There's a kind of silence that doesn't come from indifference. It comes from fear, from longing, from a heart that feels too much and doesn't know how to carry it. And when someone pulls back, when they retreat into themselves, we often assume the worst. We think they don't care, they're done, they've moved on. But here's the truth: most people never dare to say out loud. His silence might be the loudest confession he'll ever make. Silence is a strange thing. It doesn't just fill a room, it exposes it. The pauses, the hesitations, the messages typed then, deleted, these are not the actions of someone who's detached. These are the signs of someone wrestling with emotions he hasn't learned to name. And you can feel it, can't you, the tension, the unspoken energy, that quiet presence that lingers long after he's gone. Because when someone is truly cold, you feel nothing. But when someone is quiet, you feel everything. Today, we're going to break open that silence. We're going to explore the subtle behaviors, the emotional undercurrents, the hidden cues that reveal what he's actually feeling. Even when he refuses to say a single word, his silence isn't a wall. It's a window, and you're about to see what's inside. There's a difference between someone who walks away because they're done and someone who pulls back because they're overwhelmed. And you can feel that difference in your bones. One feels final. The other feels unfinished, like a story paused mid-sentence. When he grows quiet, it's easy to assume he's losing interest. But often, silence is the space where a man hides the feelings he doesn't yet know how to manage. It's not that he doesn't care. It's that he cares too much and caring terrifies him. We don't talk enough about the way vulnerability shakes people. How opening up, truly opening up, can feel like standing unarmored in a world built on judgment. Some men were raised to speak through distance, not words. To show emotion through restraint, not expression. To protect their heart by building walls instead of bridges. So when he retreats, he's not always disappearing from you. Sometimes he's retreating from himself, from the intensity of what he feels, from the fear that if he says the wrong thing, he'll lose the only connection that feels real to him. His silence isn't a lack of emotion. It's the overflow of it. And you can sense that, can't you? The way his absence doesn't feel empty. It feels charged, heavy, loaded with everything he's not saying out loud. When someone doesn't care, you feel nothing. But when someone cares deeply and silently, the air around them shifts, and you feel every drop of it. Silence may keep his mouth still, but his behavior refuses to stay quiet. Because when someone tries to hide their feelings, their actions leak the truth in ways they don't even realize. Watch how he reacts when you pull your energy back. If he didn't care, he wouldn't flinch. But a man who's silently invested, his whole rhythm changes. He becomes hyper-aware, watching without appearing to watch, listening without admitting he's listening, noticing the smallest shifts in your tone, your timing, your distance. He may not text first, but he reads every message twice. He checks when you were last online. He knows when your energy feels off. And he feels it like a punch in the chest when you seem distant. His silence speaks in micro movements, the way he pauses before responding, the way he looks at you then quickly away, the way he hovers near your world without stepping fully into it. Some people say obsession is dramatic, but emotional attachment, deep internal attachment, rarely looks like fireworks. It looks like quiet monitoring, subtle presence, and at 1,000 little behaviors that whisper, I'm here, even if I can't say it. You'll notice how he reacts when someone else gets close to you. The shift in his breathing, the tightening of his jaw, the sudden alertness in his eyes. Silence doesn't erase emotion. It amplifies it. Because the emotions he hides will always show up somewhere else, and you're already noticing where. There's a storm inside him. Not the kind that destroys, but the kind that shakes a person from the inside out. And the hardest part, he will never admit it. Not to you. not to himself, not even in the quiet moments when he's alone and the truth is clawing at his ribs. People think silence means calm, but sometimes silence is where the emotional chaos hides. It's where his doubts collide with his desires, where his longing battles his fear, where every feeling he has for you becomes too loud to name, so he says nothing at all. He replayed conversations you've forgotten. He rethinks every word he said to you and every word he didn't. He wonders if he's enough, if he's too distant, if he feels more than he should. His silence isn't empty, it's crowded. He won't show you the internal war between wanting closeness and fearing the vulnerability that closeness demands. He won't tell you how deeply he feels your absence or how much your presence softens something inside him. So he stays quiet, hoping distance will steady him. But love doesn't steady, it shakes. Connection doesn't calm, it awakens. And you? You've awakened parts of him he spent years trying to numb. He hides the storm, but his energy gives him away. You can feel it, the way his silence hums with everything he refuses to say. And deep down, you already sense the truth he won't speak. There is a moment, subtle, almost invisible, when a man who's silently attached lets his guard slip. It happens in the way he watches you without watching you, how he studies your expressions, your reactions, your mood, all while pretending he's unaffected. But you can feel it. You can feel his eyes on you even when he looks away the moment you notice. You can feel that quiet awareness, that unspoken attention that has nothing to do with curiosity and everything to do with connection. He'll act composed, but his body betrays him. The slight lean toward your voice, the quick lift of his head when you laugh, the shift in his posture when you enter the room. He doesn't want to be obvious, but emotion makes people obvious. If you ignore him, he notices. If you seem distracted, he feels it. If you pull your energy back even an inch, it hits him harder than he'll ever admit. This isn't the watching of a man who's bored. It's the watching of a man who is careful because he's afraid his feelings will show too loudly. So instead of speaking, he monitors from the edges. Instead of expressing, he observes. His silence doesn't mean distance. It means he's paying attention in ways words could never reveal. He's trying to understand you because understanding you feels like the only way to understand himself. And that quiet attention you feel, that's emotional truth disguised as restraint. There are always moments, small, fleeting, fragile, when he almost lets the truth slip out, moments where his guard lowers just enough for you to see the softness beneath the silence. You've seen it, haven't you? The hesitation in his voice when he says your name. The way he starts a sentence, then stops, rearranges it, waters it down, tries to make it sound casual when it was never casual to begin with. There's that moment right before he turns away when his eyes linger a little longer than they should. That moment when he wants to reach out, physically, emotionally, vulnerably, but pulls his hand back because connection feels like danger to him. He almost tells you what you mean to him in the quiet pauses, in the breath he holds when you're upset, in the way he takes an extra second before saying goodbye. Those are not accidents. Those are emotional confessions he doesn't know how to translate into words. His silence isn't a lack of desire. It's the tension between wanting you deeply and fearing you might not feel the same. It's the fear of misreading, of losing you, of exposing the parts of himself he spent a lifetime protecting. He doesn't say it out loud, but he almost does again and again, every time the truth rises in his chest and he forces it back down. And those almosts are the loudest proof of all. There's a pattern in people who feel deeply but express slowly. They get close, then they pull back sharply, almost abruptly. And that sudden distance isn't rejection, it's fear dressed as control. He gets overwhelmed by how strongly he feels you. He feels the intensity rising in his chest, and instead of leaning in, he steps back because he doesn't know how to hold that much emotion at once. This pull back is not the behavior of a man who's indifferent. Indifference is steady, predictable, flat. But emotional investment, that's chaotic, it surges, it retreats. It confuses even the person experiencing it. Have you noticed how he disappears right after a meaningful moment, after a deep conversation, after a connection that was too honest to ignore? That's not coincidence. That is emotional overwhelm, the kind that makes him retreat to regulate himself. His silence after closeness is a reveal, not a rejection. He's trying to breathe around feelings that feel too big. He's trying to regain control over emotions that threaten to expose his heart. And yet, even when he pulls away, the connection doesn't fade. You still feel him. His presence lingers in the air, in your mind, in the emotional space between you. Distance doesn't disconnect him, it exposes him. Because the more he pulls away, the more obvious it is that he's tied to you in ways he's not ready to admit. His silence is not absence, it's evidence. There's a shift in him whenever you're near, a subtle but undeniable transformation that he tries to hide, but his body, his tone, his energy, they all expose him instantly. You've seen it. The way his posture straightens, the way his eyes soften, the way his voice warms without him realizing it. Your presence doesn't just enter his face, it alters it. He becomes more alert, more aware, more alive. Not because he's trying to impress you, but because something inside him wakes up when you're close. It's the kind of awakening that can't be faked or forced. It's instinctual, it's emotional, it's proof. He listens differently when it's you. He remembers details no one else pays attention to. He responds to your moods like they're weather shifts he feels in his bones. Your smile slows him down. Your silence tightens something in his chest. Your sadness touches him in places he hides from the world. He doesn't show this to everyone. He doesn't feel this for everyone. This reaction, this quiet transformation, this emotional earthquake beneath a calm exterior is exclusive, reserved, unchosen but undeniable. He can pretend he's unaffected. He can act distant, logical, composed. But bodies don't lie. Energy doesn't lie. Presence doesn't lie. And when you step into the room, you don't just enter his world, you rearrange it. His silence may mask his words, but it can never mask his response to you. Inside him, two powerful forces are constantly battling. The part of him that wants you, and the part of him that fears what wanting you will cost. This is the tension you feel in his silence. This is the reason his words stay trapped behind his teeth. Because wanting you isn't simple for him. It asks for openness. It asks for surrender. It asks for vulnerability he has spent years avoiding. And you bring out emotions he doesn't know how to hold without trembling. To him, you're not just someone. You're a mirror reflecting what he desires, what he's afraid of, what he doesn't feel prepared to lose. He fears getting too close because closeness means exposure. And exposure means you could see the insecurities he hides, the wounds he hasn't healed, the parts of him he believes might push you away. So he stays quiet, not because he doesn't care, but because he cares with a depth that terrifies him. You are both the comfort he craves and the vulnerability he fears. You are the calm he longs for and the risk he's afraid to take. This internal conflict makes him behave inconsistently, warm one day, distant the next. Attentive in subtle ways, yet emotionally guarded when you get too close. But here's the truth, people. Don't fear what they don't feel. He fears losing you because having you already matters more than he ever planned. His silence is not confusion. It's emotional conflict, and you're at the center of it. Now, here's the final truth you need to grasp. His silence isn't emptiness. It isn't rejection. It isn't a reflection of your worth. It is a language of its own, one written in pauses, hesitations, subtle gestures, and lingering presence. It is how he carries feelings too big to speak, emotions too raw to release, and attachments too deep to risk fully showing. You may have doubted yourself. You may have questioned whether he cared. You may have convinced yourself that quiet meant indifference. But every action, every glance, every micro expression you've noticed tells a story louder than words ever could. He is emotionally present in ways he cannot yet articulate. Understanding this is not about excusing avoidance or emotional distance. It's about seeing beneath the surface, recognizing the courage it takes for someone to feel so much without breaking, and appreciating the intensity that exists even in silence. Your role is not to force him to speak. It is to witness, to acknowledge, to respect the delicate balance between fear and desire, between protection and attachment. So when he's quiet, listen closely, not for the words, but for the signs. Because silence, when you know how to read it, is never empty. It is full of truth. It is full of longing. And it is full of the unspoken, unwavering reality. He cares, he notices. And his heart is closer to you than his lips will ever admit. The loudest declarations sometimes come in the quietest moments.